The Constitutional Bill 2024 is a step by government of the Gambia to strengthen democracy and entrench the rule of law after decades of authoritarian rule. The journey towards this new constitution began in 2018 when the government established the Constitutional Review Commission through the Constitutional Review Commission Act of 2017. The CRC was tasked with drafting a new constitution that would reflect the will of the people of the Gambia and address the shortcomings of the 1997 constitution, which was viewed as inadequate to uphold the tenets.
Hey, bullload why? I'm dog why?
After 18 months of extensive consultations with Gambians across the country, in the diaspora, the CRC submitted its draft constitution to the President Adam Barrow in March 2020. The draft constitution was regarded as a pivotal instrument to guide the Gambia through a trajectory to democratic transition. However, when the draft constitution was presented to the National Assembly, it was severely opposed. Unfortunately, the draft constitution passed the first reading in the legislative process, but did not sail through the second reading. Some major reasons that account for the failure to sail through the second reading include the term limits for the presidency, the retroactivity of the limits, provisions regarding citizenships, and processes for impeaching a sitting president, among others. The rejection and subsequent failure of the draft constitution highlighted deep political divisions between those who largely supported the draft and those who opposed it. In response to this impasse, the government sought the assistance of International Institute for Democracy and Electoral Assistance International IDEA to mediate and find a way forward. The mediation process involved several rounds of consultations with political parties, civil society, other stakeholders. Despite efforts to build a consensus, some contentious issues remain. Undeterred by few unresolved contentions, the Constitution Bill 2024 emerged from the process and reflects the outcome of the efforts at mediation. It also incorporates adjustments based on lessons learned from the failed draft constitution of the CRC. Moreover, the Constitution Bill 2024 represents a renewed attempt to make an atrocious constitution that can garner the necessary support in National Assembly and be endorsed by the people of the Gambia at the referendum. This bill aims to establish a legal framework that not only addresses the historical injustices of the past, but also lay a solid foundation to a democratic and prosperous future for the Gambia. Consultations preceding the draft constitution 2024. Following the rejection of the draft constitution prepared by the Constitutional Review Commission in September 2020 draft, the government, through the Ministry of Justice and in partnership with International IDEA, facilitated a series of mediation sessions on the revival of the draft constitution for the Gambia. Since 2020, when the draft was struck out, the drafting team from the ministry and IDEA have worked to adjust the different clauses of the draft constitution on which action was agreed by stakeholders. IDEA met His Excellency the President, Adam Barrow, on the 12th of January 2020 to brief him on progress and share thoughts about next steps envisaged to ensure that the revised constitutional document successfully sails through Parliament. IDEA and the ministry engaged with media editors, as well as leaders of the Gambia Civil Society Transitional Justice Working Group, that is the TJNW, the Gender Platform, and the Youth Forum. During these engagements, It clarified disinformation regarding their review process, especially regarding financing, and launched initiatives aimed at catalyzing an upsurge of support for their work towards new constitution. These initiatives included participatory national and community radio programs involving listener phoning in. Overall, significant progress has been made since the mediation began, supported by various international partners, and the consultation process has gone through 2 phases, with the goal of reaching a consensus on key contentious issues identified in the CRC draft. The first phase. The first phase of the mediation took place between December 2020 to March 2021, with the support of the United Kingdom Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office, facilitated by His Excellency Goodluck E. Jonathan, former President of the Republic of Nigeria. Phase involved intense consultation with political party leaders, civil society organizations, traditional rulers, and faith-based organizations. This culminated into a high-level consultative retreat for the political party leaders on the draft constitution of the Gambia, held at the Transcorp Hilton Hotel in Abuja, Nigeria, from the 23rd to the 25th of February 2021. Facilitated by His Excellency Dr. Goodluck Jonathan, the event aimed to secure party leadership commitment to the constitutional process. Convened at the instance of the Office of the Attorney General, Minister of Justice of the Gambia, and the International IDEA, the retreat was attended by leaders of all but 2 parties in the Gambia, and it was also attended by ECOWAS Commission representatives. In preparation for this consultative retreat in Abuja, the revised draft of constitution had been circulated to the leaders of political parties and civil society for their information, review, and any further input prior to gathering. The purpose of this consultative retreat was for political party leaders and the Attorney General and Minister of Justice to meet with Dr. Goodluck Jonathan to assess the adjustments that have been made to the CRC draft. It also afforded an opportunity to Dr. Jonathan, as well as the ECOWAS leadership, to encourage the party leaders to review their commitments to seeing the constitutional process to fruition. Finally, it served to facilitate a post-mediation mission to the Gambia for His Excellency Dr. Goodluck Jonathan to meet with all political party leaders and address members of the National Assembly. By the end of this phase, a consensus was reached on 21 out of 24 issues identified, leading to an agreement to restart the process after the 2021 general election or presidential and parliamentary election cycle. Second phase. The second phase of the mediation began in August 2023, supported by the Netherlands Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the European Union delegation to the Gambia, facilitated by His Excellency Dr. Mohamed Ibn Chambers, AU High Representative on Silencing the Guns, and 3 local moral guarantors, Imam Dabo, Bishop Bani Manga, and Mrs. Fatou Jang Senghor. This phase involved follow-up continuation with party leaders on the remaining 3 or 4 issues of contention. On the 12th of August 2023, the eminent person, His Excellency Dr. Mohamed Ibn Chambers, and the IDEA Regional Director and his team arrived in the Gambia. The eminent person and the local guarantors conducted bilateral consultations with political party leaders, including the leaders of NPP, Honorable C.D. S.K. Njai, UDP, His Excellency Hussein Dabo, PDOIS, Honorable Halifa Salah, GDC, Honorable Mama Kande, on the possibility of reintroducing the draft constitution by seeking consensus on certain aspects of the draft constitution that are considered contentious among political parties. Of August 2023, there was a working lunch with all political party leaders at the Sadauda Kairaba Jawara Ice International Conference Center. This was followed by information and consultation session where leaders expressed their thoughts and opinion on the reintroduction of the draft constitution and overall reiterated their support for the reintroduction of the draft constitution. In the evening, His Excellency Dr. Chambers and his team briefed the international partners on the consultations they had with the political parties and the way forward. On the 15th of August 2023, His Excellency Dr. Chambers held an information session with the members of the Inter-Party Committee at the Sadauda Kairaba International Conference Center on the Constitution. This was followed by another session with CSO platforms involved in the constitutional reform process. On February 12, 2024, His Excellency Dr. Mohamed Ibn Chambers paid a courtesy visit to His Excellency President Barrow of the Gambia at State House. The purpose of the visit was to brief the President on the consultations conducted thus far with various stakeholders regarding the draft constitution. Dr. Chambers provided an update on the progress of the consultations and discussed the next steps in the consultative process. On February 12 and 13, 2024, His Excellency Dr. Mohamed Ibn Chambers held a consultative meeting with members of the National Assembly at the International Conference Center to discuss the draft constitution with a view to paving a way of its reintroduction in the National Assembly. On February 12, 2024, His Excellency Dr. Chambers hosted a working dinner at the Coco Ozone Hotel to brief international partners on the draft constitution. The event provided a platform for Dr. Chambers to update attendees on the consultative process with different stakeholders. The goal of the briefing was to facilitate feedback and strengthen international support for the constitutional process and ensuring continued collaboration and transparency moving forward. On February 13, 2024, His Excellency Dr. Chambers held bilateral consultative with political party leaders represented in the National Assembly regarding the draft constitution. The consultation took place at Coco Ozone Resort and included discussions with Honorable Halifa Sallah, leader of PDOIS, His Excellency Usainu Dabo of UDP, and Honorable Mama Kande, the leader of the GDC. His Excellency Dr. Chambers departed from the Gambia on the 14th of February 2024. Additionally, information sessions were held with various stakeholders, including civil society organizations, traditional rulers, faith-based organizations. An induction session for National Assembly members and capacity development session for the Standing Committee on Human Rights and Constitutional Affairs were also conducted during this period. Therefore, during the second phase, a consensus was reached by National Assembly members on compromises reached during the first phase and on the remaining issues